87%. Honestly, just take a second and let that number sink in. 87%? That is the staggering failure rate of small and medium enterprise data projects when it comes to actually delivering their promised business value. I mean, that's a massive gaping hole between expectation and reality for businesses that are just trying to leverage their own information. To understand the real human impact behind that crazy number, let's talk about a highly relatable story. Meet Sarah Chen. She's the CEO of Pacific Manufacturing, a precision parts company. Now, Sarah was watching her competitors use data to boost profits, right? So she drops $47,000 into this comprehensive business intelligence solution. She thought she was making this brilliant, game-changing move. But 6 months later, her team was still relying on their gut instincts, messing around with outdated spreadsheets, and basically just arguing in conference rooms. All those beautiful, real-time dashboards she paid for, literally just gathering digital dust. Okay, let's dive into this explainer. Today, we're going to figure out exactly why these incredibly expensive data initiatives crash and burn so frequently. But more importantly, we're going to look at the successful 13%, the minority who aren't just buying more expensive tools, but are using a powerful framework called data storytelling to turn raw numbers into a clear, actionable business narrative. Here is the exact roadmap we're going to follow today to fix this costly problem. We'll start with 1, the analytics disaster, move right into 2, the fatal flaw, introduce 3, the 4 pillars of success, lay out 4, a practical 30-day roadmap, and finally 5, measuring real success. Let's kick things off with section 1, the analytics disaster, and how businesses are wasting a mind-boggling $2.3 billion annually. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that when you add up the investments in tools, the training, and all those lost opportunities across SMEs every single year, it is a $2.3 billion failure. I mean, just look at this visually dense traditional dashboard. Sure, it gives you incredibly precise technical insights, but it completely lacks a business narrative. It's just overwhelming. You can literally imagine a team's eyes glazing over during a presentation. And the costs, they are brutal. Beyond the direct tool cost of up to 85 grand, you've got this massive opportunity cost of delayed decision-making. Actually, in the manufacturing sector alone, the failure rate for these initiatives sits at a shocking 92%. Which brings us to section 2, the fatal flaw, or what we can call the dashboard illusion. So why does this illusion actually happen? Well, think about Marcus Rodriguez. He's an operations director at a logistics company. His team built these absolutely perfect technical dashboards tracking literally everything under the sun. But when he presented them to his frontline managers, they just nodded politely and then completely ignored them. And that is the fatal flaw of traditional BI. It suffers from major information overload, a total context vacuum, and this huge gap where the actual action should be. Notice the stark contrast here with data storytelling. Storytelling relies on prioritized metrics, a clear business narrative, and specific next steps. The problem with traditional approaches isn't the data itself, it's the complete absence of a story. So how do we actually fix this? Let's move to section 3, the 4 pillars. This is the exact game-changing framework used by that successful 13% of SMEs to achieve some truly exceptional business results. Look, let me be clear right out of the gate. Data storytelling is not just about making your charts look pretty. Not at all. It is a proven, systematic methodology that sits perfectly at the intersection of data, narrative, and visual design. It takes human-centered design and meshes it with crystal-clear business goals to actually drive action. Let's break these down. Pillar 1 is context-driven data selection. You know, most companies suffer from data hoarding. They kind of just want to track everything. But what you actually need is ruthless prioritization. You've got to ask, what specific decision needs to be made, who is acting on it, and how are we measuring success? Marina Packaging, a specialty printing company, did exactly this. They stopped hoarding and hyper-focused on just 12% of their metrics. By cutting through all that noise, they found a pricing optimization opportunity that bumped their profit margins by 18% in just 4 months. Incredible, right? Moving to Pillar 2, narrative arc construction. Every good story has a flow, and business data is no different. It follows 4 simple steps. First, the setup. What's the current situation? Second, the conflict. What problems is the data actually revealing? Third, the resolution. What actions are we taking? And fourth, the outcome. What are the projected results? Riverside Consulting used this exact 4-step flow instead of just throwing raw churn statistics at their team. They told a compelling story about communication gaps, put a specific resolution in place based on that story, and ultimately reduce their client churn by 25%. Pillar 3 is stakeholder-specific visualization. Listen, you absolutely cannot give the same dashboard to everyone. You have to customize the content for your specific audience. Think about it. A CFO wants to see financial impact and ROI. Your operations managers, they need to see process improvements and efficiency gains. And the CEO needs high-level strategic insights. A company called Northwest Distribution used to give everyone the exact same dashboard, and it just resulted in total confusion. But when they customized those dashboards by stakeholder level, their analytics engagement skyrocketed by 340%. And that naturally brings us to Pillar 4, action-oriented insight delivery. The core of this entire philosophy boils down to one simple question: does it change behavior? Effective data stories don't just inform people, they inspire specific actions. If you want to avoid the dashboard graveyard, you need concrete next steps and assigned accountability. Basically, every single presentation has to end with clear actions and an assigned owner, period. Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 4, the 30-day roadmap. We're going from theory to practice here, and honestly, you do not need months of planning to turn things around. Here's a step-by-step roadmap you can totally tackle in just 4 weeks. Week 1 is foundation setting, auditing what you have and pinpointing the top business decisions you need to make. Week 2 is framework development, where you pick a pilot use case to test out. Week 3 is story creation and testing. This is where you actually develop and present your very first data story. And Week 4 is scaling and optimization across the business. Companies that follow this exact roadmap typically see a 40 to 60% improvement in decision-making speed within just 60 days. Now, a super quick aside on tool selection as you build this out. Don't get distracted by the shiniest, most complex enterprise tools out there like Tableau Next, unless, you enjoy paying for features literally nobody uses. Go for practical tools like Zoho, Power BI, or Google Data Studio. Your software stack has to serve your storytelling methodology. If it's just burdening your team with a bunch of unused features, you are using the wrong tool. Finally, we reach Section 5, measuring real success, because you are definitely going to need to prove the ROI to the skeptics in your organization. And this brilliantly illustrates a key point. If you're going to do this, you have to measure it right. And that means throwing out vanity metrics. Tracking something like the number of reports generated tells you absolutely nothing about actual business impact. Instead, real success is measured by Tier 1 business impact metrics. We are talking about decision-making speed, like how fast do you go from a data request to taking action. We're talking about revenue influenced by data, cost reductions, and customer lifetime value. If your metrics aren't connected directly to business performance, they're just vanity metrics. Actually, scratch that. They're basically useless. Let's drive this point home by looking at the real-world results of this framework across some actual SMEs. Mountain View Manufacturing dropped their inventory carrying costs by a massive 23%. Coastal Marketing, they shot their client retention up to 89%. And Urban Logistics reduced fuel costs by 19% while significantly boosting driver productivity. These are incredible bottom-line transformations, and they weren't achieved by just buying better data. They did it by using the exact storytelling framework we just walked through. So, I'm going to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative question. Take a hard look at your own organization's data. Are you going to continue struggling with unused dashboards that just gather digital dust? Or will you join the successful 13%? Because it is time to stop hoarding data and start telling stories that actually inspire action. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.